Hey guys, my name's Julie Bennett Godfrey. Originally Julie Bennett from Mershon, Georgia. I now live in Houston, Texas, which is southeast Texas. And I was asked to share and read a book about Texas to y'all. And this book is called Larry Gets Lost in Texas. And I've actually lived a lot of places and in an area close to West Texas also. But right now we're in Houston at the Space Center, right next to Johnson Space Center. So I'm going to read this book to you about Larry Gets Lost in Texas. This is Larry, this is Pete. They like riding together in the back seat. The family loved going to adventurous places. This new one was all about wide open spaces. And Texas is a big state. The great state of Texas. Only second to Georgia. Here we have El Paso. At the first stop, there was a hill, and on the top was a star. Then the biggest boots Larry had seen by far. West Texas, and I used to live pretty much near West Texas, but in New Mexico. And they drove a long while through a curious place. At first it looked empty, but that wasn't the case. While Pete ate with his parents at a picnic spot they found, Larry stayed in the trailer with the windows rolled down. Larry's hunger was something he never could hide, and a tangy smell swirled through the air just outside. It was some kind of meat on a sauce-covered bun. He could get it and eat it before Pete was done. Larry made his decision and pounced on his treat, but there was so much food it took a long time to eat. His tummy was full. He came up gasping for air and saw his best friend Pete wasn't there. Back on the ground was a strange little guy who walked right up to Larry as if to say hi. His outside looked hard like a rock or a shell, but he could not offer no help from what Larry could tell. Larry searched the whole lot, not once but twice, till he saw a trailer with a creature who seemed very nice. Without Pete, Larry had no clue what to do. Then his friend nodded as if to say, "There's room for you too." Riding in comfort, Larry thought, what a lucky day. But Pete and his parents had gone the opposite way. Again, they're in West Texas. Okay, Larry saw cars like trees sticking out of the ground, and I've actually been here. And this is an Amarillo. So the car's sticking up out of the ground. And now we have Big Bend. While at a huge park, Pete's pup wasn't around. So this is Big Bend National Park. Larry stopped in a place where the whole town goes, and he saw his new friend all dressed up in fine clothes. Almost everyone there wore the same kind of hat, but not one of them knew where Pete was at. Uh-oh, Pete's lost. Check the Texas flag, and there's lots of rodeos in Texas. On his search, Larry saw some strange, pretty birds. It was hard to find proper descriptive words. Some big ones were eating at a steady pace. Oh, and now we move over to Austin, which is not that far from us. While scary ones swooped around another place. Pete, Mom, and Dad arrived at a shore with a ship museum and lots to explore. Two sculptures pointed west. Was that a clue that might lead the family to you-know-who? And this is Corpus Christi. We've been down there, and that's a pretty area also. Alright, we're still looking for Pete. And now we're in San Antonio, which is about 3 hours from us. So lots of people were at an old building of stone, but Larry didn't see Pete. He was still all alone. So while watching people shop and eat, Larry heard a voice that sounded like Pete's. He looked around here and there, but didn't see him anywhere. Now we're in Houston, where I am currently and where I live. And we're actually, the Johnson Space Center is over there, but we're at the Space Center, the museum part. So now we're in Houston, Johnson Space Center. So Pete and his folks visited an amazing place with a big rocket for flying to outer space, Saturn. Pete learned about the training that astronauts do. He only wished Larry could have learned this stuff too. And they actually train the astronauts here also. And there's Rocket Park. So where is Pete? Oh, it's still in Houston. So now, and later, nearby, in a bustling town, I would say more than bustling, metropolis, Pete didn't see Larry while he was walking around. And then Houston has a tunnel system. So now, and by the way, Houston will be the third largest city in the United States in the next few years, taking the place of Chicago. Okay, now we're in Fort Worth, which is near Dallas, and they have the stockyards. Okay, in a quieter place, Larry thought, oh, all hope might be lost, till he stopped by a man whose path he had crossed. The man was dressed in cowboy gear. He took Larry's collar and said, "Let's looky here." The cowboy drove Larry to yet another city. The places they passed were exciting and pretty. A flying red horse was quite a neat trick, and one building looked like a lollipop stick. The Big Tex. Okay, the State Fair is also in Texas, in the Dallas area. Okay, Larry came to a huge fair that was jam-packed and loud. How could he ever find Pete in this crowd? There was music, there was all kinds of food in the inn, but he had to stay focused and look for his friend. When a giant said, "Howdy, folks," and pointed that way, Larry ran up to Pete, and they both yelled, "Hooray!" To the helpful man, they said their goodbyes, then boarded a wheel of enormous size, the Texas Star. Pete and Larry didn't have long to enjoy the ride. They fell asleep soon after getting inside. I hope you guys enjoyed my book, Larry Gets Lost in Texas. Again, we're here in Houston at the Space Center, and my name's Julie Bennett Godfrey, and I'm originally from Rashawn, Georgia. And thank you for your time, and have fun, kids. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.